Homo sapiens, the name for you, myself, and every human being that exists in our planet. We evolved from Africa about 200,000 years ago and carried on evolving until we became what we are today. But are we still evolving? Well, the Earth is predicted to be around 4.55 billion years old, so in the grand scale of things, our species is still very young. Other human-like creatures were around long before us. The oldest humanoid fossil was dated back to 4.4 million years ago. But because we as a race have developed this modern world of technology, ultimately to make our lives easier, has this stopped us from evolving further? Evolution is when genetic changes or adaptations occur when genes mutate and combine in different ways during reproduction. This is normally to help the species survive or reproduce more effectively and happens more frequently in the population. When these changes occur, they become more common across the population, giving an advantage to survive. So if the purpose of evolution is to survive and reproduce, do we need to evolve anymore? Are we above natural selection? Well, human beings still have many reasons to evolve. Some of these might be the abilities to be immune to certain modern viruses or the abilities to be immune to high cholesterol or heart disease.
One great example of modern evolution is the ability to digest dairy. Originally, humans could only digest their mother's milk due to a gene that would eventually shut down when the child was weaned off the milk. But when we started to domesticate animals such as cows, humans evolved to the tolerance of lactose. This is thought to have happened due to the nutrients that the milk would carry, giving those humans a natural advantage to survive. It is thought that this ability was still developing as early as 3,000 years ago. So we are still evolving, and scientists think that we are doing it faster than ever before. In the last 10,000 years, the pace of evolution has sped up 100 times. So what does this mean for the human race? Well, other than drinking milk and resistance to disease better, scientists think that we are losing our wisdom teeth, and surprisingly, that our brains are getting smaller. The average volume of a human brain has decreased from 1,500 cubic centimeters to 1,350 cubic centimeters in the last 30,000 years. Scientists are not sure why our brains are getting smaller, although there are some theories of it being more efficient as we evolve.
But what will we look like in the future? Well, let's start at the bottom. We have evolved over the years to have become less reliant on the need to climb and have favored the ability to walk. So nature has been slowly shrinking our toes to the point where we can hardly hold a pen between them, let alone a branch. Some scientists believe that in the future we will not have our little toes, as we only need to rely on our big ones for balance. Another theory is that we will be much taller. Over the last few centuries, the average height of humans has increased by 10 centimeters. This is due to the better nutrition available to us and being able to eat regularly. Or just because we could be taller doesn't mean that we will be stronger. Due to the increasing reliance on technology, our muscles don't need to be as strong as they did. So the more our machines work for us, the less we need to do, resulting in a weaker race of humans.
Over thousands of years, humans have been slowly losing their hair. There are a number of different causes for this, but one main reason is that men are attracted to less hairy women, meaning that women's bodies could be a lot bolder in the future. Also, the fact that we tend to wear clothes to keep us warm now has meant that there is no need for a big fluffy fur coat. But I think the strangest of all the changes that might happen to our bodies is our face. Scientists predict that in a few million years, humans may have flat faces, big round eyes and small noses. By the time all of these changes have occurred, the future Homo sapiens will look back at their ancestors and think we were the weird looking ones, just like we do to our ancestors.
So I think that we all must remember from time to time is that evolution likes to take its time. Eventually, yeah, Homo sapiens will be superseded by a greater human race. But in a million years, there would most likely be 3 or more different races. Not to evolved Homo sapiens who still live on Earth, highly evolved Homo sapiens who live on other planets with less gravity and colder or warmer climates causing different bone structures and increase or decrease of hair and have adapted to their new environment. And a third species that spends their time looking for more planets and eventually setting, spending most of their time in space on a ship. The possibilities are endless, But at the end of the day, evolution is changing and shaping us. Evolution still has a part to play. We've come a long way, looks-wise, from our Homo sapien ancestors. Between 800,000 and 200,000 years ago, for instance, rapid changes in Earth's climate coincided with a tripling in the size of the human brain and skull, leading to a flattening of the face. But how might the physiological features of human beings change in the future? Especially as new wearable technology like Google Glass changes the way we use our bodies and faces. Artist and researcher Nikolai Lem has partnered with a computational geneticist to research and illustrate what we might look like 20,000 years in the future, as well as 60,000 years and 100,000 years out. 2014 AD, a typical looking man and woman. In 20,000 years from now, humans will have a much larger forehead that is subtly too large. A future communications lens is represented by the yellow ring around their eyes. These lenses will be the Google Glass of the future. In 60,000 years, humans will have even larger heads, larger eyes and pigmented skin. A pronounced superciliary arch makes for a darker area below eyebrows. Miniature bone conduction devices may be planted above the ear now to work with communication lenses. In 100,000 years from now, the human face is proportioned to the golden ratio, though it features unnervingly large eyes. There is a green eye shine from the tapetum lucidum and a more pronounced superciliary arch. Devices implanted above the ear work with the communication lenses on the eyes. Furthermore, any human facial reconstruction can be done due to the furthering of genetic engineering in the future, and so it's hard to say exactly how they will look like because it will depend on human taste. Now, after around 100,000 years, it becomes too hard for our current era of humans to hypothesize on how our descendants will look in a million years or above. But according to a timeline written in the book Scatter, Adapt and Remember by Annalee Newitz, we can get a small look at the possible races and civilizations that will supersede Homo sapiens in a million years and how their environment would be. A small look through would show that in around 500 years from now, the first self-sustaining civilizations on the Moon and Mars could begin, which would then spark a huge increase in evolution through a new adaptation to a new environment. 70,000 years from now, and we would begin to encounter new spacefaring civilizations, bringing in new diseases and introducing possible ways of modifying our evolution. Finally, 1 million years from now, and our descendants will be living all over the galaxy, or possibly the universe, without spacesuits, their bodies perfectly adaptable, and the difference between technology and human will be minimal. But in the end, right now, what we know, however little it may be, is that by default, Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection will have a huge part to play on who supersedes Homo sapiens. If one genetic mutation causes one human with a stronger immune system to diseases that are affecting the world and will continue to affect the world, like cancer or AIDS, natural selection will take its course, and eventually the vast majority of the population will evolve through that one mutation. More efficient brains that will help us solve mysteries that our current minds could never grasp. Powerful bodies that will adapt to any form of mass extinction, like the increase of global temperature, another possible ice age, or invasions from another planet, or decrease of gravity. These are all examples of environmental change that would lead to natural selection. The only greater race to follow the Homo sapiens will be the ones that will never need to evolve. And even though future races will be much better adapted to their environment, that greater race will never come to be. Because after a million years and a million more, our environment will continue to change, and therefore, so will we.